Silver Sun presents Gary Custer.
Okay, we want to explain to you this morning what's involved in putting together Gary Custer's jewelry. Kathy and I started by picking the stones, and now that he has it all finished a couple weeks later, we are going to check it in. What would you like first, Kathy?
I guess we can start with the bracelets.
How about mine?
Oh,
When I have a really fine artist like Gary, I love to go into my own stone stash and have something personally made. So, Gary, where's my Tyrone?
Your Tyrone is right here on
Off comes the Candelaria.
the ring.
Ooh, lovely. Uh-oh.
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 It was made for me.
Tyrone,
Oh my goodness, well, I love gorgeous.
the color is fantastic. I love it. I could actually wear it here.
Yeah, you
You
could.
can wear it
Yeah, I'll
anywhere.
wear it here. Alrighty.
And I'll borrow it once in a
Okay.
while.
And the next bracelet?
Okay, the next bracelet will be the dragonfly.
Yes,
Bracelet.
let's do the dragon.
Here's
There
the
it is.
dragonfly.
There it is. There it is.
What is that stone, Kathy?
That one is,
Oh, I love it.
oh, that's beautiful.
What is it, Kathy? What's the stone?
Candelaria.
Candelaria?
Mm-hmm. Wow, look at that.
It's beautiful.
Gorgeous. Okay, and then we have this little,
The wingtip
yeah,
style bracelet.
Wingtip?
and I'll just want Candelaria.
Interesting. Ooh, my goodness, this is heavy. What is this, Kathy?
This one is a blue gem.
It's a beautiful stone.
Look at that one. And then the next one is a corn pattern. It's a Villa Grove.
Let's see, Kathy. Villa Grove. We don't have very much of that, and you really don't ever see it, do you?
No, we
Not
don't.
much.
It's very rare.
Number
It's from
8.
Colorado, unlike the rest of these. Number 8 is also dragonflies, Kathy?
Yes.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Dragonfly concept.
I love this.
That's a beautiful pattern.
Oh, beautiful.
Now this one is a different antique design. It's kind of different.
Wow.
It's got a different texture than this one here.
Yes, it does. And that one is a Bisbee. Shouldn't have to-
And so, of these 5 beautiful bracelets, I don't know, which one do you want?
And here's a piece of kingman on this one. Here.
Oh yeah, that's Santa Fe.
This will be found in the Santa Fe store and on this. Oh, this is a beautiful kingman. Also a corn. Beautiful.
Wow.
This one is
Nice
Manasseh. Here.
Ooh. Manasseh. Hey, we're in Colorado again. It's beautiful.
Here's another piece of number 8 right here.
That
Corn
is
is on ring.
gorgeous. Beautiful. It feels so comfortable. Wow. It's so comfortable. Look how beautiful that ring is.
It's gorgeous.
And here's another piece of turquoise with the same design.
That would be Apache Blue.
That's Apache blue.
Okay, our first piece of jewelry made with Apache blue. This we recently purchased at Indian Market from the miners in Nevada. It's beautiful rock. It's a new mine, by the way, a new find.
Here's the first piece of fox material. Fox turquoise.
Fox. Beautiful.
This one's nice. I really like this stone. Damali. I like the color.
Certainly an
Matrix.
interesting, isn't it? And there's no question about this one. Isn't that lovely? No, I think it's very, yes, it's the same high-grade Kingman that we just put on our internet
Is that the one that has
site.
pyrite?
Yeah, the iron pyrite.
Yeah, that's good.
Isn't
Pyrite.
it beautiful?
Really, really beautiful.
All right, Gary, did you bring anything along to help explain
The
the
process.
process of tufa casting?
Yes, I have.
Okay, that's great. We'll go to that right now. And then also, you do handmade work as well?
I do tufa casting. The tufa casting is where the images are carved in tufa stone, which is fossilized volcanic ash. And I carve the images in tufa stone first of all to get a positive out of
It must be a kind of a soft rock.
It's very soft. It's like almost like pumice.
Where do
can
you get
actually-
it?
You can find it in the southwest around Zuni area is where I get mine, and also I get it in the Hopi area in Oraibi. And the texture in the stone depends on the geographical area. In like you can get a lot more detail in the rock when you get it from Oraibi because it's more of a sand based, a real dusty sand base.
Is it easier to carve
It's
then?
very easy to carve, and you can put a lot more detail into it. And if you want to make larger items, I get my rock from that Zuni area, which has more of a sandstone grain to it, which is harder.
Now,
also.
why do you go to all this trouble to do something?
Well, you know, this day and age, everything is so fast and so quick that, you know, anybody can go get a machine and make millions and make $1 million and get fat and lonely. But, you know, being an artist means that when you grow up around this and through generations, I'm a third generation sandcaster / tufa caster, is because my family brought my well-being is brought up through family of sandcasting and also the jewelry business. My dad and my mom did this through their lifetime until they got their real jobs, and also my great-grandfathers and my grandparents, they also did this and brought some of the tools down, and I was grown into it. So I'm a third generation at doing this, and growing up around it just means that it was around, and I really had no interest when I was a kid, but when I grew up and got older, I started tinkering with some silver, and it just caught my mind, and I thought, well, if I do this and do this right, maybe I can make a living off of it. And which, you know, today, you know, you saw through the video that, you know, all these beautiful items and the stones I get to work with just reflects on my perspective on life, is because, like I said a few minutes ago, you can make it easy and take the easy way out, or you can. This is called labor of love. It's very intensive when you carve an image in tufa stone. It can take hours to do that, or it can take minutes, just depending on what you're doing.
And let me say from my end, when you put a piece of this kind of jewelry on, you've gone to the heart and the soul of a people. And in this case, the third generation, what is your clan, Gary?
Bitterwater,
Bitterwater?
Tower and House people.
You grew up urban though, did you not? Or close to?
Close to urban, yes.
Close to Gallup.
Yes. All
And
my life.
You told me last time that after high school you trained in Phoenix?
Yes, as a mechanic.
What kind of a mechanic?
Auto mechanic, auto diesel mechanic over at Universal Technical Institute. Doing that after coming back, hands-on and getting dirty and grubby and taking something apart, putting it back together and making it work is the same concept of doing the tufa casting. You can create something from nothing. You can get a rock, a tufa stone piece off of a mountain and do a carving and pour the silver into it and make an image and selling it to somebody that will have a lasting effect on their life for the rest of their lives, and they can pass that piece of jewelry on to the next person.
Why wouldn't you want to have that kind of karma every morning? I don't know what I'd do if I couldn't put on some good turquoise and really nice Indian jewelry. Okay, let us go then, shall we? Or
Sure.
let me ask you something. With that car, how long were you a mechanic?
I've been a mechanic off and on all my life.
So
Pretty
have
much.
you worked for yourself?
Call a shade tree mechanic.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'll put it this way: my cars never see the garages in town. I buy my own parts and I replace them, and I fix things on my own.
I'll keep that in mind. And by the way, I was very sad this morning that my old classic would not start.
Really?
So you and I won't be able to go cruising today.
Well, we'll kick it into tailpipe.
Yeah. Okay, and we can go next time.
Sure. Thank
All
you.
right. I think it would be wonderful if you met again two of our very fine traditional silversmiths. Bryant Martinez, you've met many times from Indian Market. We have a video on our internet featuring him and his work. And Etta Andito has been a fixture here with us for a good 20 years plus. And these two smiths who work in-house with us all the time are going to be here while Gary explains just how different his work is from traditional handmade. So how many people do you know that do this kind of work, Gary?
In the Southwest, very few. This is the Tufa casting is known as a dying art. The Native American people, the Navajo, especially the Navajo people, use this art for many, many years. It was back in the conquistador days when products were traded, like the naja, for instance. The naja was traded way back when. We taught the conquistadors how to live off the land, and they taught us how to do silver work. That's where the silver comes from. They were digging up silver and using the silver, but then back then they were using bellows and hardship. And they didn't have any grinders, and a lot of the machinery that you see nowadays, everything is handmade.
Gary, what was it? What did they use for materials to make the jewelry?
They were using sandstone. Back
Sandstone?
then, they were using sandstone rock. The same concept before the
And what did they
material was
put in
done.
it?
They were putting silver, just putting the
Using
two
coins
pieces.
or what?
They were using silver coins, and silver. Well, actually silver, but yeah, mined from.
So this process that we're talking about here, you're saying, goes all the way back
Many,
that
many,
far,
yeah,
hundreds of years.
yeah, 100 years. Right.
And
so does this, but this is. I'll explain. I'll get into it. This is how this ties into the sand casting. This is tufa casting, and this is sand casting. Tufa casting is where you get a one of a kind item out of an image that's carved into tufa stone. Everything is reversed, like looking into a mirror. You get a plain piece of rock, which is tufa stone. It's fossilized volcanic ash. It's like pumice, very, very soft. You can get a lot of detail out of it. And for instance, that one here, I'm making a bolo for a customer of mine. That one is nearly done, and I put many hours into this bolo right here.
you mean into the carving?
Into the carving
rock?
itself, yes, that's an art on its own. And you can only get one piece, or maybe even two, out of the stone itself, the tufa stone, because it's very soft. You have to cure the stone, and after you cure the stone, it looks gray like this. A lot of ash.
What do you mean, cure it?
What cure it means heating the stone.
Okay.
It's like a little mini oven. You can actually heat this on this side and actually hold it in your hand, and that's how well the stone holds the heat. Putting it together with another piece of tufa stone like this and pouring the silver down in there is how you get your piece out of it.
So you have to heat the silver, obviously.
Yeah, you'll be melting the silver in a crucible, and after the carving is done, you cure the stone both ends. You have a smooth piece, and you also have the carved item with a little pour spout and little air holes for air to escape. Put those together and tie it and pour the silver down in there from the tufa stone.
How hot
When
is
you get
that
it out,
silver?
the silver melts at about 1250 to 1450 degrees. And
What do you pour it with?
silver? Just pliers, basically. After you pour the silver, it kind of looks like this inside another piece of tufa stone. When you open it up, and then the positive comes out of the piece.
Wow.
And that's how see how it looks reversed when you have it side by side. It looks different. It's because everything is reversed. Like if I was to write your name, I would have to write it backwards, like looking into a mirror to get it right. If I had a left side, I'd have to make a right side, so this one would be totally opposite of this one here.
Wow.
This one here. It's just this piece here. This particular piece comes out of this one here.
Hold on, Gary. Any questions here? We're just kind of amazed.
Yeah, this doesn't come out looking this pretty. this here. This will have slag and sprues where you have to cut off and kind of use a file and other means of grinders and stuff to get it and smooth it the way you want it to. Okay, now that I got this piece out of here, I can do another casting in this same stone. But it's not going to come out the same as this because the heat, once the heat hits this, this will start breaking out. And this Tufa cast piece will go away.
How many
Therefore,
times?
only about 2. This will be my second time and this will be done. Once that happens, this goes away. So what I do, if I want to make not replicas and not multiples, but additions, because every sand cast piece, like Tufa stone, is a one-of-a-kind item because of the way the grain of the sand sets once you pack it and how the heat hits the mold and how it burns inside there and to create the piece that's going to be coming out of there. So this piece here, I fixed this up like this, and I would use this as a sample. I would use this as a sample piece. So we'll be doing the same concept as carving the image in the Tufa stone, making the pour spout and the air holes, putting it together with Tufa stone and pouring the silver down in there. The same concept. But the only thing that will ever hit this anymore through the lifetime of this sample will be sand. No heat will ever hit this anymore. So I can keep this sample and I can make more if I wanted to on this one at a time now. It's not, I can't, you know.
Do you mean that every one of the bracelets, and my bracelet, my new ring, all of these pieces, you only can make?
They start from Tufa stone.
Right.
If I wanted to make 10 of these like this,
Yeah.
I'd have to make a sample out of this bracelet and go to the sandcast portion of it. And when I go to the sandcast portion of it, the only thing that will hit the sample of this bracelet will be the sand inside the frame. That's it. And I can do more of those bracelet shanks if I
Where
wanted
did you
to.
say that red sand is from?
This one here is a store-bought sand, what I use for demonstration, but what I use at home is a oil and cement mix. This is an oil and a cement mix is what I use. This is based on the same, yeah, where you can clump it together in your hand in a mold to your hand, but it won't stick to it. It's the same concept with the sand and oil base. Okay, now what I do here, what I'm doing here, is I would put a wooden frame with a little piece in front of it. Let me use this. Is that okay? Set that down, and I would set a piece of I would set a sample down that was already made like this. Put the sand down in here inside the frame and pack it without moving the sample around. I'd have to pack it nice and hard to get the sand around, in and around the sample, and whatever imperfection it does have when it comes out, that can be taken care of through filing and buffing and cutting it off with the coping saw. This is there it is. Now see the sample falls out of the piece and the sample stays in there. So what I do then is I would carve a pour spout just like I would when I'm doing the Tufa casting. It's the same concept. I would make an entryway here and also to the side, like so. So the liquid will flow. Everything is gravity fed on this. There's no kind of machinery from like doing multiple wax casting, centrifugal casting, all that. This is all just propane torch and handheld pouring. Okay, now I would need sprues, just like I did here, for gases to escape. What this does, it does two things. It helps the gases to escape, and it also pulls the silver down to the bottom of the mold to fill up the channels. And what I do is get a piece of tufa stone, which is already hot, put that up against here without moving it around. Get your good old Goodyear rubber, tie that around here, and I would stand this up, get my tongs and my torch at the same time holding the crucible, pour it down in there at the same time. And when I do that, I come over here, I would break this open, the sample will be inside there. This piece here, now formed into liquid, would fall out on the table, and I would reclaim the sand. After I reclaim the sand, I can mix it up and I can make another packet, and we can put this down on the table and do the same thing over again and come up with another buckle, and then another one after that. It really depends on the ambient temperature in the air. After it rains, don't try to cast, because it's not going to happen. It's got to be in a controlled air space. Like, yeah, the air has to be dry inside the room at a certain temperature to get something like this complex. You can get something like this that's very easy to cast to come out in colder temperatures. That's why we have little casting rooms. I have a casting room just about this big, and I sealed it off, and I have a vent which ventilates all the gases and all the smoke and everything. But to get another piece like this, I would get the reclaimed sand and do the same thing. Do the packing, sample falls out, put it together with a tufa stone, tie rubber down there, get the tongs, pour the silver in the mold, open it, break it open, the piece falls out, and reclaim the sand. And then you can do another packing. That's the difference between the tufa stone and the sand casting. But the tufa stone is a one-of-a-kind item. Like this one here is a one-of-a-kind item. As soon as I sell this bolo to the individual's going to get this stone here, and it's going to be lock, stock, and barrel. They're going to own the piece, and it's going to be a one-of-a-kind item. Whatever piece that comes out of here, they're going to own it. No one else is going to own one.
So no one should ever question, but that
Exactly.
this is definitely
Right.
handmade jewelry.
Exactly.
And the same is true of sandcast.
Right.
Could you tell us, Gary, what it is that a lot of these companies produce when they call it cast?
Well, a lot of these companies, depending on how much money they have, which is quite a bit, they revert to vacuum casting. They revert to a lot of wax casting. A lot of they can afford to do a lot of. They can do one ring. They can do one ring like a casting process, which is they call it a rubber mold. Once they break that open, they get a positive. When they get the positive, they can put that on what they call a sprue or a tree, and they can put that into a machine and burn off all the wax. And then from there, they can make like 150 rings. They can make one mark on a ring. 150 of them will have the same mark on all the rings, because it's not gravity fed. It's machine fed, and it's forced. All the silver is forced into every crevice on every ring.
So that jewelry is really not handmade.
It's not handmade. It's authentic, but it's not handmade. It's machine made. Yeah, it's machine made. It's not hand poured. It's done by machine. Everything is mass produced,
Yeah.
to sell to Joe Public. But we don't sell to Joe Public. We sell to an individual that's a collector that knows what they're buying and wants the best quality in something they have. They would pay $750 for a bracelet from myself than paying $750 worth of bracelets from somewhere else, because they know the difference. They know the turquoise is real, first of all. They know the background of the person that has a turquoise, and also and Silver Sun being the beneficiary of the stones, entrusted me to do all these things with my handwork, like I did. So it's two authentic pieces being put together and being sold to some individual that really knows what they're looking for.
And how long did it take from making the jewelry?
Like I said before, I'm a third generation sandcaster. My mom and dad raised me doing this type of work, and also my grandparents and my great-grandparents also were doing this through both lines, my mom and dad, and that's how I was born into it, and I grew up around it, and it just came natural.
How about the design? Is it yours?
The
or you get
designs
ideas?
are mine.
Uh-huh.
I look around and I get designs, and I look at nature. I go out to nature a lot, and I also look at the clouds a lot and stuff. And then what my grandparents taught me about, you know, the art pieces, and also the old. I like to look at old pieces, like old concha bells, old pieces, and I figure out how it will fit into my work, how it would fit into my work, because I'm very contemporary, but yet I keep the traditional lines in there.
Are your parents still alive?
Yes, they are. They're alive and well.
And do they, great, and do they still do this kind of
No,
work?
they don't. They're retired. My dad retired from the mine, from the P&M mine in Gallup and in San Benito, and my mother also retired from the BIA schools.
Are you the only one of the children that is doing this?
No, my younger brother Ira does it.
Ira.
And my youngest brother Myron, he tinkers with it. He knows how to do it.
What about your children?
My children, all my three boys know basically the concept of silver making.
Are any of them going to?
The oldest one helps me with my jewelry, so he's getting into it.
Great.
And I keep on telling him, I said, all the investment that I have one day could be yours. So, you know, it's all there. He doesn't have to pay for it, like I didn't. I didn't have to pay for it. I grew up around it. And my mom and dad just said, here's a few pieces, start with it and see what you can come up with.
Now, all we need to do is find enough people who sincerely appreciate this kind of artwork and this kind of labor.